am HIV positive and I'm undetectable. Should I or shouldn't I disclose if I'm HIV positive? Y'all already know what time it is. I got the black V-neck on. That was the conversation on social media today. Twitter went on fire after a conversation started about disclosing if you are HIV positive and undetectable. For those who do not know what undetectable means, let me explain it. An undetectable viral load is when the amount of HIV in the blood is so low that it can't be measured. Basically, that means that my viral load is so suppressed that I have a zero chance of transmitting the virus to you. So we have so many new tools and things. We have PrEP. We have so many things in our tool bag to protect us from HIV. And also we're using treatment as prevention, meaning that if I am treating people who are living with HIV, I am lessening the chance for HIV to be transmitted to new patients. So let's talk about it. I am HIV positive. Let's say that I am about to go to Bulldogs. Girl, I'm headed to Bulldogs. I'm about to get my life. I'm about to do all of these. I done prep, girl. I done took the water hose up there. We ready. I done went to Bulldogs. I see Trey looking good. We done got back to the house. I'm positive. I'm HIV positive. I'm undetectable. And we are back at the house, and girl, we ain't Netflix and chilling. We ready to go ham. And I have not had the conversation about my sexual health. I have not asked this person, what is your status? What is going on with you? What's your status at the bank? What's going on with your account? What's the tea? We've not had this conversation. Should I disclose in this moment? How do we do that? And I think for those who are living with HIV, that is the issue, is that we don't know when to disclose, because talking about sexual health and talking about STIs and STDs and HIV and gonorrhea becomes, it takes the damn lube out. Like, girl, we don't want to talk about that. We don't want to have a conversation. It takes the fun out of what we're trying to do. But I will say this. If I am HIV positive and undetectable, I should be disclosing my HIV status. I should be telling them regardless. Now, when we're talking about the HIV criminalization laws, in especially the South, a lot of it does not even matter if I tell them or not. If I do tell you, girl, some laws are gonna say, well, girl, you shouldn't have been having sex with this person regardless. Like, even if you did tell them, I still put them at risk for contracting the virus, and I will still go to jail. Now, we need to this conversation is so nuanced, and I honestly might turn it into a series and invite doctors and stuff on it. That's the thing I'm working on right now. Support my new project coming up, girl. I'm gonna tell y'all the name of it later on, but I'm gonna invite some other people so we can talk about these conversations, because I feel like they need to be discussed. And I just noticed that every time we talk about HIV on my timeline on Twitter, people get very quiet. People get very uncomfortable. They don't want to talk about it. But with the same finger, we are going up talking about who the Cash twins are doing and how, what's the name, just creamed all on the peen, and how Nike drilling the hell out of such and such. We don't mind doing it. And it just lets you know how further we are uncomfortable talking about sexual health. So if we're uncomfortable talking about it out in the open on Twitter, from whatever names that we have, not even our real names, and pictures that we can change to, it can be anything. What do y'all think we doing when we meet Trey and we meet folks for hookups and stuff? Y'all think we still have these same conversations? We're not. And I think we need to be honest about that. We need to be honest that we enjoy sex, and sometimes talking about sexual health makes us a little bit uncomfortable because there's so much stigma around HIV, gonorrhea, and all of this. But honestly, the more comfortable we get having these conversations, we can eradicate stigma and we can get people tested. So getting back to the topic at hand, am I wrong for not disclosing? Should I have told that person that I was positive and undetectable? Should I gave them the right to choose? I'm gonna tell you something that's going through my head doing this ground pound, and I'm getting drilled out. I'm assuming that this person is positive as well. That's something that we don't like to say, but that's what happens. I'm assuming that this person is positive, and that's why they haven't said anything, because they shame just like me, and we just gonna do what we got to do and call it a day. Other story that happens, they're assuming that I am negative because I haven't brought it up, and that we don't want to talk about it. They don't want to ask me. It is both parties in a consensual sexual thing. It is both parties, or if we have more folks to the thing, it is all our jobs to have conversation acts. It can't just be me telling this person that I am positive. They need to be asking me. hey, let's talk about sexual health a little bit. And I don't know how we're doing that. Like, girl, when's the last time you got tested? But we're not doing that. And I think there is a circle of foolishness that is going on because you have stigma, and stigma creates, people saying some ignorant things, and then you have folks who are not comfortable talking about it when it comes to a sexual encounter. We're not interested in having that conversation because if I do tell you that I am positive and we continue in condomless sex, and the next week you somehow find out that you are burning or that you've been exposed to syphilis, and you're automatically assuming that since I'm living with HIV, that I have all of these STIs because I'm already HIV positive, so ain't no telling what else shit you got going on. So you're automatically assuming that I have exposed you to something else. I cannot tell you how many stories, or I can probably count on my hand how many stories I've had where someone who I had told them that I was HIV positive, and then they come back a week or two later and say, hey girl, my booty hole hurting, or I think you gave me something. And I've already disclosed and had this whole conversation. So now you're assuming just because I'm positive that I'm nasty and that I'm dirty and that I have all of these things, instead of taking account to the other people that you've had condomless sex with. You're not saying anything to them because you assume all of them to be negative. So you're only putting the pressure on someone who is positive. And y'all are doing a disservice because statistically, if you look at the material and be the judge of it, the people who are highly transmitting the HIV virus are people who do not know they are positive because they are not going to get tested. And a lot of them are not going to get tested because of stigma. People don't want that information. They rather not know. And we have to do a better job of eradicating the stigma. That's why it's important for us to have these conversations. That's why I don't mind putting myself on the battle line and getting all this fire, because I can take it. I just want us to be able to have these conversations and we truly be realistic. I think we are doing a disservice anytime we're saying that, oh, if you are positive, no matter if you are undetectable or not, you should be telling everybody. But the thing and the fact of the matter is, you need to be asking each and every person you're having sex with, what is their sexual health? And a lot of y'all are assuming, people who are thinking they are negative as of their last test result. I'm gonna give you an example. Somebody can be tested negative for HIV back in October, but they have had condomless sex January, February, March, and April, and now it is August, and they are assuming, and they're telling their new sexual partner, well, I'm negative. They're assuming they're negative based off a test they took back in October. And that test is only good up until that point. It's not going to be for the future. It's not going to take into account to you having condomless sex February and March. Now, I think we also need to have a conversation about condomless sex and how a lot of us don't like it. And I think there is nothing wrong with that. I think we need to be honest. I remember getting into a conversation, a heated discussion a couple of years ago on Twitter. Y'all out here having sex without condoms. Y'all deserve what y'all getting. You're not even taking account into people who are going into sexual hookups or whatever, and they have been stealth. And stealth meaning when a person is using a condom and has taken it off midway through sex. That happens. And I also need people to understand that anytime you engage in sex, anytime you even try to participate in sex, you are putting yourself at risk. I can give you stories of people being pressured to have sex. I've been pressured to have sex with someone who I did not disclose to, and I did not feel comfortable at the time disclosing my status to them because I did not know them. And being that I am a public figure, I didn't want it to be a situation where I tell someone who does not mean that much to me at that moment, and then they go out and tell the whole entire world, or make up something, or start a blog or on Lipstick Alley saying such and such, Justin is positive before they told the world. Things like that happen. And not just for me, but for everybody else who are not, probably open about their HIV status. People are saying, oh, y'all need to have consent forms. You need to put it on Grindr and Jack that you are positive. And thank you to my guy Eric, who who provided me with this card to give us, you know, a list of things that we can do to protect ourselves when it comes to disclosure. But we have to be honest. We are not always having conversations about this when we are going into hookups. I just need us to be a little bit more realistic. And I'm gonna give you another scenario. Let's say I do tell this person that I am HIV positive and we have engaged in condomless sex. Let's say 2 weeks from now they find out that they are HIV positive. They are going to probably say that I gave it to them because I told them. And I'm just like, girl, we had sex 2 weeks ago. I don't think you seroconverted that quick, but you know, let's see what the tea is. Let's say we get all the way to court and all I have is me saying out my mouth that, hey, I told them I was positive. Judging from all the HIV stigmatizing stuff we see all the time, do you think that a judge and a jury of my peers is going to side with me, a black gay man that is HIV positive? You think they're going to listen to me and think I'm telling the truth? They're already looking at me like I'm crazy because I'm HIV positive and I'm black. What the hell are you doing? The first doctor I had when I found out that I was HIV positive literally told me that I should not be having sex. They said, girl, you shouldn't be engaging in sex. And we are still dealing with doctors who still have that trash ass ideology. And they are treating patients who are living with HIV, treating them like they're a nuisance to society and they should not be here. Going back to the conversation, should a person living with HIV who is undetectable disclose to their partner if they are positive? Yes, they should. But let's be honest, we are not out here having conversations like that. So if we are both engaging in consensual sex, condomless sex, we both need to be asking each other. It is not one person's responsibility to be responsible for someone else's sexual health. You have to ask me and I should be asking you. It should be an equal exchange. It should not be just on one person. And the more y'all understand that, the better we will be. I want y'all to understand that. Stop thinking that it is a person who is positive job to tell you all the time. Yes, they should tell you, but to protect your sexual health, you need to ask them. As a person who is living with HIV, let me tell you this. I'm getting tested for way more things than you all are. People who are thinking they are negative, people who are negative as of last October, I'm getting tested for more than just HIV. And some of you all are only getting tested when you feel like you are burning. So don't be out here pressuring folks who are out here living with HIV to always tell you when you're not asking. And then you're out here having condomless sex with folks who you've not had the conversation with, who you think are negative, who they told you who are negative and don't know because the last time they got tested was in October and they have engaged in so much sex after then. Girl, let's talk about it. This is not going to be my last video talking about HIV stigma and HIV disclosure and all that and HIV criminalization. There's so many topics to talk about. I am not the person that has all of the information, but I do have access to people who have a lot of information. So I will be bringing these folks on here to discuss this stuff in its entirety. I also will be talking about it more on an upcoming project. I will let you know the details on that later. Thank you all so much for tuning in and getting this information. And until next time, I'll talk to you later.